to actually work together to put measures in place structurally to ensure that your organization is ready to be able to absorb these people. And I'm sure it's the same for the Radisson, and that's really, really amazing. And I also heard the role of innovation as well. So relying on technology, with the flickering lights as a way of communication. And also, I think very interestingly, carrying your customers along as well, so that they don't come in, like you said, and it's awkward, but they're part of the process and it's seamless regardless as well. And so therefore it's just normal. And so we begin to normalize what seems to be abnormal in the first, or awkward, so to speak. I think that's really amazing. I think he deserves another round of applause. Go KFC, free chicken for everyone. Okay, so I'm still with you, Mr. Satenda. So what job roles, so you've spoken a little bit about the front, so you've obviously the person you described and that system you described is front of house. Are there other types of roles that you have people with disabilities also functioning at as well?
So we have got three different positions in our KFC. One is the role of a cashier or a FOH person who interacts with customer in the customer area. Also, they are the people who can also they're also trained to take the customer's orders and deliver the customer orders. The second position is a supply base where we essentially cook our fries, assemble the burgers, etc., and also pack the order for customers. The third position is kitchen, where we actually bread the chicken and cook the chicken in our fryers. So as we speak, we have put people in all of these positions, and over a period of time these guys would be cross-trained into all three stations, and then they will be called as 3-star certified employees who will then take on the role of trainee shift managers who would start training the shift, getting into the shift management positions. So that's how we are looking at it, giving them a growth path as well. While we have not differentiated that we would want to only put them in a front of the house or only back of the house, we have utilized them at all the three positions which are available at KFC's store.
That's really good. Thank you so much. So lots of opportunities being created, and I like also what you had said previously when you said we want our talent to grow with us. So it's a long-term commitment, and that's really great. Okay, so I'm going to come to you now, Madam Bolaji. You are the HR lead for Sheraton, which means that you are responsible for hiring and firing. We'll leave the firing part and focus on the hiring. And you have your counterpart here as well. So if you can just share from your own experience what it's been like in terms of making your policies and your recruitment practices more inclusive, and especially obviously speaking around persons with disabilities.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me. Sheraton and Marriott as a whole have always been committed to diversity and inclusion. But in 2022, here at Marriott, we took it a step further. We partnered with Project Enable, and we started this program. We brought in 5 PWDs as interns, and at the end of the day, we engaged them. Currently, out of that cohort, we have 2 of them working with us, and in 2023, we repeated that too. So right now, we have about 6 PWDs with us, and they are really doing well. And as a matter of fact, we started with them as contractors. We engaged them as temporary staff, but now we have 3 of them that are now permanent staff. I need to say this, that people with disabilities are not people that cannot perform. They are not people that should be pitied. They are people that should be given opportunity to contribute what they have, what they can to the company, and they've been doing that. As a matter of fact, they are more, I can say that their performance from experience is better than people without disability. I will say a case in point of one of our technicians. He came for 2 months internship, and we were so excited to make him stay. So we employed him as a temporary staff. Within 18 months, we had to confirm him, and we converted him. He's doing well, and there are some interns too that have been employed as temporary staff that They've been here for 4, 5, 6 years, and we have not done anything. But we were very impressed by his performance, and we just had to convert him to a permanent staff. So the learning curve is that there are opportunities for people with disabilities, and we should improve on our initiatives and what we are doing for them. And what we have been doing now is to expand our talent pool. We'll expand our talent pool. We'll reach out to organizations like PWD, and we try to get in many more people with disabilities, so that we can allow them to contribute their quota to our work. Now, for Project Enable, we are trying to expand what we have with them, and in the coming year, we are looking at increasing the number of PWDs we are going to bring in. We are looking at 10, 15 for the next year. And aside this, we have invited our sister companies, Marriott International, Marriott Hotel, Proti, and some other properties in Nigeria. We have about 6 properties in Nigeria, and they are collaborating with Project Enable to make sure that we improve on this initiative. So we are now expanding. We are looking at bringing more people in so that we can contribute our own quota to PWDs in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you. So partnerships is key from what I've heard. You say, especially working with organizations like Projects Enable, who understand, and are already sort of building the capacity for that pipeline, because you talked about also expanding access to the talent pipeline and all of that. So that's really great. What about culture? I wanted to talk to you about culture. And this is obviously culture also starts. It starts with the leadership of the organization, but HR plays a critical role in shaping culture of an organization. So, what kinds of cultural shifts are you finding that you're having to make sure that these that this is accepted really by those who are already in the organization, and it becomes like a cultural mindset? Can you speak to that a bit? And the same question to you, here. To her. Thank you.
Okay, like I said, a lot of people think that people with disabilities are people that cannot perform. They are people that should be pitied. And from experience, we have seen that most employer of labor, business leaders, they wouldn't want to employ them because they want to increase their bottom line, and they feel they are not capable enough to do that. And we have been trying to correct this impression even with our people. I can remember when one of the cohorts, when they brought our technician, the one that said we were converted, and we took him to engineering department, he was almost rejected. Like, how do we relate to this young man? How do we want him to work? But I will tell you that at the end of the day, after 2 months, they came back begging us to allow him to stay. So the kind of thing we'll be doing is to correct that impression that people with disabilities also have their own strengths. They have what they are good at, and they can do that. So we continue to create that awareness. We continue to train our people. At a point in time, we brought in Project Enable to come and do an audit in our organization to see what we need to do to accommodate these people with PWD, and we are still going to do that again. So we look at the gaps, then we try to fix it. Then we are also looking forward to bringing in some other organizations to come and educate and enlighten our staff. We have done that before. We will continue to do that. Another thing is communication, and we have allow people with PWD to come and
Sheraton said, and open discussions of success stories, communication, simple, predictable communication, leadership framing inclusion as standard operation, as part of the standards operation, not as a CSR or a responsible business or whatever. And this is in a practical way. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I think that there is an intersection between what you've both said and the key ideas. And I actually like the idea of SOPs, as you need something practical written down, and this is how we're going to do it, and people will follow.
Clear and simple.
Clear and simple.
Yeah.
I like Bolaji. and making sure that that training is not just for those who work with them, but also the leaders, the supervisors, and all of that. And just being intentional. I think that word, being intentional, and not assuming that it's just going to happen and people will just fit in. But it's, approaching these things intentionally to make sure we're shaping culture. I think that's really amazing. Diverse, and you come with diverse needs, and you have.
I'm a lupus survivor, and I can work in a limited environment. So there are workers in offices that cannot even work under some lights. They can't do a lot of things like other employees of labor. But then, because when we talk about these disabilities, probably during the HR sections, they tend to hide it because they actually want to get a job. So when we are talking about inclusion, how can we move further to invisible disabilities? People carrying it and probably not showing. The coping techniques are hidden. There are people on braces. We have lupus warriors in the room here. You wouldn't even know they are carrying such, and they can't go out every day. So how can you create a remote working area for people with invisible disabilities? Yeah.
What would you say is the solution to you have, if they don't declare it for HR managers, how would you know? So what is the solution that they can get from them?
Yeah, during our own course of engagement with them, many of it is one, the HR department should give a room for people opening up on their invisible.
It's a complicated topic, it's a complicated issue, and people present in different ways. So that's very interesting. And I think you've also helped us by saying that at hiring practice level, we can consider some of these invisible disabilities and sort of have people indicate and feel free to be able to do that. And of course, while they're work as well, regularly check in to be sure that we're not missing anything. So coming back to the panel now, if you want to add any reflections to what she's just said and her question, but also your wrap-up statements in terms, or can we do what? Let's say if we're looking to the next 5 years, and we're looking to definitely get the numbers up, because it's a huge community, and so having 5-10 people in organizations is great, but perhaps there's more that we can do to sort of shift the numbers. So if you could all just sort of share your reflections in terms of how you see the future, what you would like, and how perhaps other members of the industry can latch onto that as well. So we'll start from you, Satanda, and we'll walk our way down.
I think the initiative what we took to have our own organization as inclusive was the first one in the QSR industry in Nigeria. As we speak in other parts of the world, there are massive inclusion initiatives like this which have been taken by our own brand, KFC. So at Nigeria, we can definitely look at 50% of the stores getting into specially abled stores which are run by hearing and speech impaired. And I'm not coming in only from a perspective that whereas these guys have been more committed to standards compared to the normal people, they want an opportunity to be seen, opportunity to be given to them to be able to prove themselves, and they have proven in our business. And we definitely feel that our customer experience has improved in the store. And overall, if we look at it, the kind of attritions levels what we have seen in the store, at this store we had 0% attrition. There's nobody in the last 1 year who has left out of the team. So which is like great thing, and I think we can definitely look at taking it up to 50%. Anthony is definitely, as I speak, Anthony is definitely under a lot of pressure on this from me. But we definitely, as I speak with other CEOs from QSR industry, they have already come back looking at our video what we released, and we are seeing how we can motivate them also to have couple of stores which are on the same lines. I'm sure on the hotel side these guys are doing a wonderful job. Thank you.
I think the future is bright and promising if we keep on supporting organizations such as Enable Africa, supporting all those who contribute. Social media, talk to people everywhere. Let's spread the word and make noise, not only annually but every day. We need all to support each other. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think for the future, we need to increase capacity of PWDs. What we need to do is to continue to create awareness, continue to do more, improving on the initiatives, reaching out to other companies, to other hotels, taking it outside hospitality again and to other industries. So looking at the future, I think there is still much to do. We need consistency, we need sustainability, we need to um, grow. We need to do more. We need to do more to bring people in and to encourage them. And for this, we as an HR person, I think we need to improve on our hiring practices, and we also need to improve on the culture. This we do by awareness training and ongoing learning workshops and all of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you to our panelists. So we've heard that partnerships for the future, the hospitality industry is a great place, and the future is bright as a industry where PWDs can find home and make it their space. And this will be done through continuous partnerships and collaborations with organizations like Project Enable and all the other great organizations out there pushing this, educating. Communications is key, telling our stories, telling the stories of the success stories so that we show others industry-wide that this can be done. Training and capacity building, we must continue with, even accelerate that even more so that we ensure that that talent pipeline continues to be available, so there's so we increase the demand and ensure that the supply can match up with it, and to improve our training and our hiring practices, so that we're more inclusive. And I guess the most important thing is to make sure this is not just done by KFC, by Radisson, and by the Marriott, Sheraton chain, that this is industry wide, and that comes from sharing our stories and sharing all the success stories and pulling the industry along. So I want to thank our panelists. Thank you, Satanda. Thank you, Yeha. Thank you, Bolaji. It's been a great conversation. I hope you've gained from it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Or did we finish too early? Are we on time? Are we okay? Or we can take more?
Thank you. Please, can we just appreciate our speakers? Thank you. Let me put them out. So, on behalf of Project Enable, bring out the. Yeah, you could put the headsets on the chair. Yeah, we can. Yeah. It's challenging, but yeah. So, on behalf of. All right, are we good? Oh, okay. You can hear me very well. All right, so I'm just going to present this as a token of our appreciation. Thank you for coming and thank you for speaking for us. When you put this in your office, you want people to know you've made an impact. All right. All right, please. Thank you very much. Next one. I don't know how many of this our partners have now. But yeah, this is another one. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, and this is for this year. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. No, this is yours. Thank you. Okay, so let's take a group picture. Oh, okay. So I think you should. Okay.
Okay, sir, you just stay in between the two.
Can they look back so we're all in the picture together?
Let me call you.
Oh.
Stay in between the two ladies.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so this is fine.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, can you look?
Oh, you want? Okay.
I want to have their faces in the camera.
Okay. Okay. Let's do that.
Thank you.
Can you take us from like this angle so that we would have people? You could do with your phone and
Do selfie, yes. Can I have a selfie with the mic?
so we'd like to have a selfie with everyone. Yeah, we'll turn like this. We could step down and then um, okay. Uh, uh,
Say hi.
so let's do this.
That's right.
Okay. If it takes, I'll. Okay, let me try. You can come closer. I think.
Thank you, Kole. Thank you so much. Thank you, audience. Just, a list of closing. This, is to tell us that inclusion is not just not a policy, but an innovation, basically. That also
Thank you.
Thank you.
to have a place, which I want to help. So the purpose is that, strength lies in differences, not in similarities.
All right. Thank you, everyone. The next session is on inclusive health,
Again, strength lies
and
in differences, not in
I need to apologize for how clumsy everything is. It's oversubscribed, right? We have more people than we planned for, but I think it's still a good thing. It means that many people are conscious about disability inclusion matters. Yeah, and that's why we're here. All right, so I'm going to bring up the speakers for the next session, which is health. If you still want to remain, Oscar, yes, yeah, that's it.
All right, good afternoon again, everyone. So this is the room for media, from awareness to action, how Nigerian media can drive disability inclusive development by TVC Nigeria. So you give me 1 second to bring the panel. I'll call. Okay, you can come. Help speaker. Yes, 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 yes. All right. Good afternoon again, everyone. While we wait for the other speakers, I'm just going to start introduction with our moderator, who is seated here already. Um, the moderator, her name is Kemi Shonubi, and she is a dynamic and highly respected human resource executive, strategic advisor, and workplace culture advocate with over 2 decades of experience spanning multiple industries. She currently leads as the Director of People, Culture, Experience, and Operations at TVC Communications, where she's focused on creating thriving people-centric environments and drive performance and employees fulfillment. She is renowned for her ability to translate complex HR strategies into practical, results driven solutions with deep expertise in people management, organizational development, and strategic HR planning. Kemi also served as a board advisor on People as Conceptions Nigeria Limited and Tech for Our Africa. Off the stage, she's the founder of HR Storyteller, a platform where she shares powerful narratives on work and life using storytelling as a transformative tool to reshape HR practices and workplace culture. Kemi brings a compelling blend of strategic insights, emotive storytelling to every speaking engagement, making her a captivating and inspiring presence at conferences, leadership forums, and corporate events. Please welcome Kemi Shonibi. All right, so the next, sorry, apologies, will be Dolapo Agbede. Dolapo Agbede is a DEI expert, a transition coach, a tech and neuroscience enthusiast with over 20 years of experience in ICT, payment solutions, telecommunications, talent management, and sustainable business administration. As the founder and managing consultant at Wheelway Paradigm Services Limited, Dolakwa co-creates, implements bespoke data-centric sustainable solutions for gender, multi-generational workforces, safety and disability inclusion. From SMEs to Dolakwa offers DEI advisories, products and services across our clients, people, processes, programs, and platforms through a people-centered lens. Dolamo is a disability inclusion advisor at the Joint National Association of Persons with Disabilities, that's JONAPID, the umbrella body for all disability groups in Nigeria, where she leads multi-sector engagements on mainstreaming productivity opportunities for talents with disabilities. Please, with a warm applause, let's welcome again Dolapo Agede. All right, our last panelist is Victor Otuya. And please, you permit me to be brief with your profile so that we can manage our time well. But I'll do well to capture a lot. Victor Otuya is a distinguished broadcast journalist, newsreader, and editor with Max FM 102.3 Lagos, where he brings clarity, depth, and credibility to news reportage. He began his broadcasting journey as a classical music presenter, cultivating a strong on-air presence and appreciation. His talents and voice eventually earned him a major leap in his career, where he was selected as one of the hosts of the flagship issues based program Talk Nigeria, a platform that shaped his reputation as a thought-driven and socially aware communicator. Victor is also an international relations analyst with a keen understanding of politics, diplomacy, and cross cultural relations, bringing a global perspective to his commentary. Additionally, he's a seasoned voiceover artist whose vocal versatility and professionalism have been featured across various productions. He's an alumnus of King's College Lagos and Lagos State University, where he completed his diploma in international relations. Victor's brilliance, empathy, and courage exemplify the future of modern Nigeria media, one that is intelligent, inclusive, and deeply human centered. Please, with a warm applause, let's welcome Victor Otuya. All right, I'll be handing over the microphone to our moderator.
Thank you very much, Tammy. That was a good rundown. I believe, okay, I believe everybody can hear me. Just show of hands that you can hear me. Fantastic. It is indeed a privilege to welcome you to today's conversation, one that moves beyond awareness and into real action. So we are here to explore a critical question, and I'm happy to see the number of people in this section. How can the Nigerian media is who we're talking about today, right, become a driver of disability inclusive development not just as a storyteller, but a catalyst for change. We know that visibility is not enough. So you hear things like you have a 30-second clip, a special feature, or one day in the year of celebrations. These is good. These are good, but it's not enough to transform systems as we know it. Today, therefore, we will be exploring what it means to move from representation to inclusion, from narratives to impacts, and policy to practice. Joining me today are two beautiful humans and wonderful leaders who have shaped narratives, influenced policy, and continue to influence policy, and lived these realities, firsthand. Please once again join me in welcoming Dolapo Agbede, the DEI expert, and Victor Tuya, who is a news editor and presenter at Max FM Lagos. Round of applause for both of them. So let's begin with a foundation, and I'm very conscious of time. My two panelists know that I'm going to try and keep everything as brief as possible. So the first question is to both of you. Like, so you go first, and then you pass it on to Dolapo. Where do you believe Nigeria currently stands when it comes to media representation of persons with disabilities? When we talk about from the awareness stage, visibility stage, inclusion stage, or tokenism?
I believe Nigeria is still at the awareness stage because very many people are not aware. When you have interactions with people, um, you get to hear, I never knew this, or it's always a shock. And we've been hearing, let's move away from awareness, but it's still that teething stage. That's where I'll put it.
Okay.
Let's not be in a hurry to move from that awareness stage. Let's finish that job, then we'll take a step further.
All right. Thank you very much. Dolako, the mic is coming towards you. Touch your chair. Fantastic. All right.
Okay, so I will build on what Victor has said. While awareness is going on, I think those who are ready to move on to the next step should please just do so while we are creating awareness in other spaces. So there will always be space for awareness and deepening of whatever that awareness is. But I'd like to say that we're more at tokenism, in my opinion.
Okay.
And the reason why I say this is, number one, we have media houses, we have spaces where we have sign language interpreters, for example. But who knew that the interpretation that is happening might not mean anything to every deaf person, for example? And the fact that captions or transcription is more universal than the signing, because sign language is not, well, American Sign Language is universal, but who knows if the audience can take that? So you want people with visible impairments, like someone to look at me, unless you know me, you would need to guess what my impairment is.
There's still a lot more to be done. So the question to you, Victor, is this: what misconceptions about disability still dominate Nigerian media narratives, and how do these perceptions slow down disability inclusive development?
The perceptions are, labeling as insignificant, burdensome, unproductive, incapacitated, not having the capability to deliver. Look, the media is what we see, what we hear to gather information, and what people see and hear. Their opinion. The media decides what dominates the space of discussion. Employers are watching. You go and get a job and you're rejected because your employer has actually watched something or read something in the media that has portrayed persons with disability
In a certain light.
in a certain way. And it's pretty difficult to break, to work on a mindset. And then also, it also it also shapes, complexes, inferiority complex as well. Um, this is what the media does, and also because it the media also is silent on so many issues.
Okay.
Where it is supposed to speak or write, it doesn't. And where there's silence, the culture of misinformation, the culture of stereotypes
Yeah.
abound. You know, social exclusion is there. You want to get married, your partner takes you to their parents because of what they've seen and heard and read. They don't want you. In some cultures, they tell you, oh, the first child of the family cannot get married to a person with disability because what can he do? How can he do what you're saying he can do or she can do? So that's storytelling
Yeah.
that we've been talking about all day. As simple as it might sound, it goes a long way. Reporting goes a long way. How do you report? You report, you know, the person as a victim. You base a report on the person as a hero. Oh, at last, despite his blindness, at last, despite you know, um, being on a wheelchair. This no, focus on the focus
On the value.
on the values. Yes, focus on the values. These are the things that slow the progress of inclusion development.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Victor. A round of applause if you want to clap. There was something he said where he said media decides what dominates. Dolapo, he's giving you the microphone. Yeah, thank you. And this is so true. You remember for um, instances where suddenly maybe you see a red car and everywhere you drive, you just start seeing a red car for people who may not have visual impairment, right? And because that is what has been reiterated, especially when the media preaches that, so to speak. Dolapo, um, I'm sure you know. I love technology. When we talk about technology, and for us at TVC, more recently, we launched AI anchors. So it's a big deal. We're now talking about artificial intelligence, having artificial intelligence conversations, people who are not reading the news themselves, but AI anchors and all of that. I also remember when I met you the first time and engaged with you, I came back to you to ask how you were able to navigate with technology because I'll send her WhatsApp chats, she's responding with emojis and all of that. And for me, I needed to understand, and Dolakwa was gracious. She sent this beautiful voice note explaining in detail, right? What role then can technology, AI, assistive, tools play in enabling inclusive content creation? Dolapo.
Thank you, Kemi. And thank you for asking. It's always good to have healthy curiosity. And I assure you, all persons with disabilities, once they feel the energy is right about why you're asking, we always explain, we always
Yeah.
respond.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of us. So, the role of technology. So, even as you hear assistive devices, they support us to surmount whatever barrier that impairment brings. Assistive devices are just anything that supports a specific impairment to participate better, remove some, if not all, the barriers. And I keep telling young persons with disability or any person with an impairment that I meet that this is the best time ever to be a person with an impairment because we're surrounded by options that we can use to support us to fully participate, to earn, to socialize, to create organizations, whatever. We're spoilt for choice today if we are also ready to make the effort. Where technology continues to support is, for example, those removal of barriers. And if you are valuable and you're bringing something forward, technology can support you to be at par with your contemporaries. But what are also the risks? Technology could also reinforce exclusion. It could also reinforce bias. So, do you want to imagine that there's maybe the content for the newsreel?
Yeah.
If it's a human being reading, if something is wrong or a bit inappropriate, the person could pause and just course correct, maybe. But the AI will read it as is. And we're also talking about the fact that even the language models that artificial intelligence is pulling from, we're doing a lot of work in the background to make sure that it's not reinforcing stereotypes. For example, if you should ask AI today, show me, we're putting together a newscast, we want to have an avatar in place. Show a successful, dynamic, vibrant young lady to be our AI avatar to newscast today. The topic is around impairments. The possibility that it's going to be a person with disability is low, just based on how the LLMs are skewed today. So again, a lot of the technology, which feeds from people's work, because again, it's human beings' intelligence that has been put, but it's pulling across a very big pool. So what you find out is that if the data you're pulling from is data that is skewed to we need to help them, then them, meaning my community, we're not selected to be part of who should participate. That's already exclusion organically. So reinforcing exclusions could be a risk, but enabling removing of barriers is the bigger gain. So the technology will always be the bigger gain. And then we, the community of persons with disabilities, we the users, we the testers, continuous feedback will support to refine technology to serve us better.
Fantastic. Well done, Dolapo. But I'll stay with you. Don't yet give Victor the microphone. Just to help my two panelists, you have a third of the room facing us. You know, they're sitting.
Oh.
I didn't describe the audience to two of you. The third of the room, in fact, chunky number, and they're all wearing headsets colored red. That's the headset. So you can clap so that they can hear us clap again.
Thank you for being
you so
here.
much.
Thank you.
Still with you, Dolapo. You know, because remember when I started, I mentioned how, and even in this room, I've seen a lot of instances where some of the cameramen are just almost bumping into some of us, you know, bumping into you, shouting into your ear, not being conscious of your, you know, the environment or understanding of the different impairments here. While we're talking about media, how can everyday Nigerians, and you have also shared, you know, some specific examples with people even putting things in front of you just to see you fall. I found that quite shocking, but it's a reality. So how can everyday Nigerians, not just media professionals, contribute to shaping better disability narratives?
Thank you, Kemi. That's a really good question. And for those who don't know me, I actually identify as a blind woman. So I might not look it, so I confuse people a lot. So people typically interact with me like they believe I see them, and it's not the case. And when I explain that, oh, I actually have this, they don't believe me most of the time because they think I'm trying to prank them. So what about accepting us as we are? We're having the conversation around, oh, maybe if I was wearing dark glasses and became Stevie Wondress, maybe people might believe me. But I'm like, oh, but this way the glasses on my nose at the point of me losing my sight due to glaucoma. So I keep it on so that I can tell the story of the fact that I'd been around eye care professionals, but I still lost my sight because nobody was taking my eye pressures. But take us as we are. If we say we need this kind of support, trust us, please, because it's not easy for a person with an impairment to step up. We to have our bath coming from home, going to a specific place to offer value, to get value, to come to socialize, to interact appropriately, to strike out, knowing how we are, stepping out to go, whatever the goal is for that movement, leaving home. So when you see us show up in places, please trust us when we hold that conversation with you. Say this is what we're looking for. Say these are the services we do. Employ us, speak to us, engage with us, trust us. Is there abuse though? Yes. And I'll be the first to say it. But again, it's also the more of us with impairments that show up appropriately, especially in areas where we feel safe, because some spaces do say that we are welcome, right?
Yeah.
Let's max out where we're welcome. For those who have the vibe to go and shake tables where we're not welcome, enjoy. But for whatever it is, let's be appropriate everywhere we are. And then for the everyday person, if you even just think about it, think about school, think about on your street, there are persons with impairments everywhere around you. If you are empathetic and you feel motivated to support us as we navigate life, because we're the ones in the shoes. If you feel motivated to support us, ask us, and then talk to us that we will tell you what we need. And if you feel you're in the category of people who are who are you, God said, what's your type looking for here, then don't block us because we are moving anyway.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Olapo. Yes, passing it on to Victor. While you were saying ask us, I remembered I saw a video just yesterday where a lady who makes use of a wheelchair had pulled herself up the stairs with the wheelchair and sat on the wheelchair. And then this lived about 6 stairs, top of the stairs, and just said, she needs help. So they just carried her from the top of the stairs and brought her down without even asking, first of all, to say, do you need help? How can we help you? So it's very important to ask. If you also heard my story when I met the Olapo, I was curious. I wanted to know, how. Don't just assume. Don't jump to conclusions. Ask questions. Victor, remember you mentioned that the media dominates, and the media dominates what is shared, what information is shared. How then can media shift from sympathy-based narratives to development-focused narratives that highlight capabilities, value? I'm sure most of you have heard value here a lot, and contribution.
Training is very important. What you don't know, you don't know. Media organizations should have this as a topmost priority. Work with PWD experts. They know. So with the expertise and with the creativity of the media persons, they can go a long way. To write stories properly, to report properly. I wouldn't be tired of emphasizing on that, because this is what people digest. This is what people see every day, and this is what they believe in. Okay, so that's just it.
Okay, thank you very much, Victor. Thank you. So since I'm still with you, let's go to an area that we're both familiar with, in our space. You hear the likes of NBC being the ones guiding the content that we share. So what policy frameworks, because a lot of times we talk about policy, but we need to move from policy to practice. What policy frameworks or incentives can NBC, NCC, or even the federal government, do to encourage disability-friendly programming?
Firstly, the policy of inclusion is there. When you get your license, you agree to implement that. And how many stations do that? NBC would fine you for playing a band song.
Yeah.
They would fine you for, maybe a commercial wasn't meant to play, it was played
on that particular belt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I've never heard of a fine or slammed on any media outfit for not following up on an inclusion policy. So what's that about? Penalties have to be meted out, but I wouldn't want us to toe that line yet. Let's give media organizations the benefit of the doubt to say, okay, you can actually do this. There are incentives. You can benefit from these incentives. Is it the speedy renewal of your license? It takes about 6 months to get your license renewed. But it could be an incentive to speed up your renewal, which would take you between 1 or 3 months. That's one. And there could be a reduction in your license fee.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't want goodies? You know,
Exactly.
you could do a lot with that money for your logistics, for your other operations, and then you have tax breaks.
Yeah.
You know, but the fact that you have been implementing your inclusion policy, it means that you've done it at a cost, and they recognize this. The NBC does recognize that, and they say, okay, if you have, if you're to pay 1 million, they could, you know, chalk up 200K,
Yeah.
and then you pay 800,000, and then you have the tax rebate as well, and then. Well, as a result of you being inclusive, you know, with your tools of accessibility, captions, subtitles, transcriptions, and all that for the blind and the deaf, what you do is you boost your audience.
Yeah.
You expand your market.
Yeah.
We were talking yesterday, and I was talking about the numbers. You know, I've heard lots of figures today, 29 million, 30 million, in the millions.
Yeah.
Everybody's crying out for the numbers. They celebrate that we have 1.5 million viewers for a particular program, and it's celebrated.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's for the millions of PWDs?
PWDs, yeah.
You can actually get 1 or 2 million from that number.
Yeah.
That would help you. That would indeed help you. And then there's NCC as well. Of course, the same thing. Fines, you know, penalties for telcos who you know, fail to meet up with their policy of inclusion. But of course, the incentives are there as well.
Yeah.
The benefits are there as well.
Yeah.
So both the carrot and the stick
Approach.
will be shown, you know, to the media outfits. And then the federal government is there. It has empowered the National Commission for Persons with Disability, you know, to act. And it can push these two, the NBC and the NCC, to do the needful.
All right. Thank you so much, Victor. A round of applause for Victor. You hear from his, you know, feedback. We are in that space, and we always get sanctions. The mic is coming to you, Dolapo. Yeah, sanctions. So we need to move from just sanctions to incentives, and there are already policies around this. So it's just to ensure that there is the intentionality, as it were, in driving through and ensuring that we tap into that huge number of PWDs. Dolapo, you do a lot of training. We discuss this every time. You've even mentioned it earlier today. Do Nigerian media professionals need specialized training to be able to report on disability or create disability-themed content responsibly? And who actually should lead that training?
So, for trainings around disability-centric appropriateness, because again, it's about giving framework to media practitioners to operate with, because again, your actual content are the happenings, the organic happenings. So if you have the right framework, then you'll be able to contextualize and do your reportage appropriately per media platform or type that you do. Who should lead these? So there are more and more. We're having professionals in the disability community who shape how narratives should be discussed. Healthy narratives, because you also have persons with disabilities who are reinforcing inappropriate narratives. There are many, for those who would watch skits and things like that, there are many skits involving community members with dwarfism, community members with albinism, across the entire spectrum of persons with disabilities, where even our community people do not even realize how they are reinforcing negative stereotypes. So, but the onus remains on the media house to have the appropriate professional to look into what is the goal, what is the big picture of what the media operations was to achieve, the appropriate framework that gives both the constraints, the guardrails, as well as the flexibility to be creative. Because again, there's no one size fits all, right?
Yeah.
Reportage should be spontaneous. It should edify the situation. It should be representative. It should not be scripted, and we're not, but the thing,
Regimented.
yes. There's a way if it's stiff, we know that this is not. So, but how do we make sure people have the right framework, that they are guarded appropriately, but still have the flexibility to be fully creative? You have the right professionals that do things like that. So use the right professional to equip your team.
Yeah.
Then make sure the appropriate mindset is there amongst the colleagues to do the right thing. Then management. If management is not explicit about saying that as a strategy, this is what we want to identify with, and we have a zero tolerance policy for anyone who goes against this, then it will shape that healthy space to learn appropriately, and then do the work you need to do, and refresher trainings, and that will build the capacity. And you can imagine, capacity built in-house will still spread, because as you interact, as you do normal life outside work, those are champions all over the place. Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dolapo. And it's good that you can clap if you want to. I hope I didn't interrupt your clapping. You mentioning management in any organization, any institution is key, because it comes from the top. Whatever posture, whatever sensitization, people mirror the leaders that they have. So since the mic is still with you, because I'm conscious of time, I want you to, as someone on the outside in terms of media, when I talk about media, whether it's traditional, print, TV, social media, and all of that, like you rightfully pointed out, if you could propose one actionable commitment that a media organization like ours at TVC Communications, right, should adopt immediately, what would it be?
I would advocate for responsible reporting. Do no harm. There's still, whether we like it or not, we're still in a space, in a country, in environments where disability inclusion is still tough. Many people still struggle to allow us to be, to allow us to participate, to allow us to grow. Even if I should hire a person, if I have my organization and I hire a person without a disability to work with me, and their parents become aware that that's where you are working, unless you are one international or multinational brand, you'll say, see person work with, except in a blind person you go, they work with your mates. You say, that's not why we spent money on you to go to school, please. Is it that you fall in love? I mean, you're my very good friend. So I'm using myself as an example, not because this really happened, but my very good friends like, Dolapo, don't worry, someone's going to fall in love with you. You're so amazing. And I'm like, I think I like your brother. And the person says, God forbid. So the thing is, the responsibility to understand that we're flesh too. We hurt too. If you're going to report about us, put us in good light. We might not be in the frame of mind to do it, but you, media practitioners, you, social media trender, what's that thing? Viral, influencer, all you these people. Be human first. Be respectful first. Be empathetic first. And then, a time will come that responsible reportage will be just as viral. It doesn't have to be ugly for us, especially the Nigerian market, to consume it. Do better at that. And we will thank you for it.
Fantastic. Dolapo, round of applause for those beautiful comments. Responsible reporting, respectful reporting. We're also talking about being kind as people, and we're finding this is even across. Nigerians need to do better. We need to be empathetic. We need to be considerate, and most importantly, intentional. As we round up, Victor, if you look ahead 12 months from now, that is December 2026, we're already in December, and I usually joke that when you start December, it's like it's a race to the end. What practical step must Nigerian media take to move disability inclusion from just attention to formal integration?
We need to think seriously about enforcement, because there's no point having all these policies and they are not enforced. So we talked about penalties the other time, but then you have all these bodies. Come around and see what the media organizations are doing, what they have done, and then um, what they can actually do further. KPIs should be affected to track progress. Okay, so you have the news department, you have the presentation department. How can they? How can they? What percentage of their stories should cover PWDs or PWD inclusion? Okay, so you look at the year and see how much of that target you have met. How much of that target you've met, and then also, yes, it is happening here. Collaboration, but more collaboration is needed. Media organizations coming together, pulling their resources together, um, funds, technology, and so on. Because I don't want to say any media organization can do it alone. No, let's come together and get this job done. It's a cause we have to um, fight for, and we can actually make it work. I've been talking about storytelling all day, and I don't know if we have any Nollywood representation here. They need to be listening. They need to hear these things and have, in previous sessions, we hopefully they will be um, invited to hear and see what they can implement. That would cover, so much ground.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Victor. Nollywood representation, collaboration across media houses. Well done to Dolapo, well done to Victor. I don't know if the audience have questions. We can take, say, 2 questions. We've done well with time before we round off and go. All right, so my newest friend with the yellow flower in her hair would like to speak. Microphone to her. Okay, do you need mine?
Yes, good afternoon. I wanted to find out how can we accurately represent persons with disabilities in the media? How do we go about that?
So your question basically is how can we have persons living with persons with disabilities represented in the media? Let me have Dolapo attempt that question. Victor, please pass the mic to Dolapo. Careful. All right.
Okay, so again, like I said earlier, and thank you for the question. Number one, media practitioners should have the framework of what is respectful language, appropriate representation. Then, number two, you are reporting situational things. So if it's around a person with dwarfism, for example, oh, this is the appropriate languaging and maybe set up to use to respectfully depict them. So that learning needs to be in place because there's no script, right? There are all types of impairments with their spectrum of what they are.
Yeah.
So it's more about having that framework of you're working with a blind or visually impaired person. This is the appropriate way. This is the appropriate language. But typically, you are telling a story. That story, we don't know what it is. But if you can just be appropriate with the person and you are conscious of respectful projecting of that person's issues or stories, then you are already on your way to doing it the right way.
Fantastic.
But I think I might do an article on something light that would be useful. It would be nice to collaborate, Kemi, on this to do more.
Yeah. I think Victor wants to weigh in. Yeah.
So let me just add that so this is why we have the various organizations for persons with disability, and then the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities. So you can actually verify from these, from the commission and the organizations. And then there's the Disabilities Act 2018. You can also refer to that as well. And also get to relate with PWDs. You can get first-hand um, direction from them as well.
Okay, so my question is, we've talked about, my name is Anifa. Yes. We've talked about sensationalizing persons with disabilities and their conditions. So I'm trying to find a balance, right, for not just me and everyone that is here, right? So for one, I had my first degree at the age of 19. So, and I had various newspaper carry this story, and it had, despite cerebral palsy, she was still able to graduate at the age of 19. So whether we like it or not, it's an inspiring story that inspires people. I had different mothers of children with cerebral palsy reach out to me to ask, "Oh, how did you do it?" So it can sound like an inspirational story. It is good to hear this kind of stories, but then how do we bridge the gap? Is the problem the language that is used, or even carrying out these stories in the first place? So where does the problem lie? Thank you.
So you have disability that is already known. Okay, this woman has had this challenge, but has had this baby. She has what's the condition again? Cerebral palsy.
Yes.
What she has had this baby. You leave the despite. When you say despite, then that is when you make it sympathetic. You make it heroic. That you bring heroism into it. And some might even begin to think about you being. She could have been a victim of cerebral palsy. So just report the story. Report the story. Leave the despite.
Thank you very much. Thank you to our panelists. Please, a round of applause. Our organizers and everyone here today. We've run out of time. Spot on. I think we used time so well. I have some people that still want us to talk, but we need to leave this room not just informed, but motivated to act. The media doesn't just reflect society. We always refer to the media as the fourth estate. It shapes it, and as such, together we can shape a more inclusive country, a more inclusive Nigeria, and a more inclusive environment for everybody else. Thank you so much, everybody. You've been a fantastic audience. Well done. So we're done. Okay, we're done. So just hold on. Yeah. Dolapo, you can remove your headset.
All right. Thank you all so much. Um, we'll just take a group photograph now. Okay. Thank you. We'll stand for the photograph. Yes.
Thank you very much, Esther. A round of applause for Esther. Another one is from Sister also came on stage. Thank you so much. I don't know if anybody has questions. Okay, we don't have any questions because you're such a very convincing presenter. A round of applause for Esther and for our new partner, Governor and viewers of the amazing work that they are doing. Thank you so much. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this point of the event, we're expected to wrap up our breakout sessions now so that we can all come together to also proceed to the next part of both events. So please, let us begin to wrap up now, even though I believe that not everybody will be able to hear me because of our headsets. So we need protocol to release the protocol needs to assist us as people navigate their way back to their seats. Let us begin to come back together to our seats so we can proceed to the next part of this event. Breakout will begin. Please, let's wrap up now and let's come back together to the center of the all as we prepare for
Start your session.
Yes.
Or should we start use them here?
Okay.
Hello. Please, can you confirm you can hear me? Yes, thank you so much. So, before we move back to the main stage, we need to quickly do this, which is the last breakout session for this. It's going to be very, very brief. My name is Janet Olaolo and I'll be moderating this session. And I have with me for now Mr. Michael Ojediro from Project Enable Africa. Joining us later will be the the executive director, acting executive director for Project Enable Africa, in person of Mr. Olalekon Owonikoko. Mr. Michael, please welcome to this session.
Thank you, Janet, for having me this afternoon.
Please, can we have extra microphone? I don't know if it's possible, please. Please, can we have a microphone, please? We need one more. Okay, because of our time, let's just get started first. So here we're talking about the State of Disability Inclusion Report. Like you all, I don't know if you all know that Project Enable Africa launched a State of Disability Inclusion Report, and we're here to quickly just talk about and bring out points from this State of Disability Inclusion Report, which will be done by Mr. Michael or Jediron. So, Mr. Michael, quickly, what can you say about the State of Disability Inclusion Report? I mean, we've heard so many reports that this report came in timely at the right time. So, please, can you give us an overview of what the State of Disability Inclusion Report contains?
All right. Thank you so much, Janet. When we talk about the State of Disability Inclusion Report, year 2024, we know that the Nigerian Disability Act was passed into law by the former president, late President Muhammadu Buhari, in the year 2019, January precise. And part of that law, or part of the Disability Act, is that there's a grace period of 5 years, which is to give stakeholders, major stakeholders across the public and private sector, and even the general population, the time for transitioning, to ensure that all the letters of the disability law is being implemented. And that grace period ended in the year 2024, and there was a need for us to evaluate where we are in terms of disability inclusion in Nigeria. And that is why Project Enable Africa decided to look at this framework in order to look at what is the state of disability inclusion here across the 36 Nigerian states, including the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. And that we did to look at this. And we look at it from 5 lenses, which is part of the United Convention for the Rights of Persons with Disability, across 5 pillars. The first pillar is in the area of policy. Policy, be it the state-owned disability law and also agencies. How many of the Nigerian states have the localized disability law domesticated in their states? And how many of these states also have a disability commission to monitor the implementation of the state-owned disability law that promotes the inclusion and rights of persons with disability? The other part, pillar, I've mentioned policy. The other pillar is the pillar of employment. According to the Prohibition Act against persons with disability 2018, there's a part of it that mandates that every employer of labor in Nigeria must ensure that 5% of their employment or their workforce is allotted to persons with disability. And that is for us to now look at it across board, across these 36 states. These things being followed. The other pillar that we also look at is around social protection. In terms of social protection, we are looking at social protection policy that guides the protection of rights of persons with disability, be it gender, be it in terms of age, be it in terms of children living with disability. Across the 36 Nigerian states, how many states have social protection policies targeted at the affairs of persons with disability? And even for states that have interventions, projects that are targeted at a vulnerable or marginalized group, how many of these social protection programs are also targeted at persons with disability? The other pillar that we also look at was the area of health. What are the gaps that exist? Are persons with disability able to access? Yes.
We can hear you.
But there is a hit back. So, are persons with disability able to access both health care services and products? And that will look across the 36 Nigerian states, including the FCT. And lastly, is in the area of education. How inclusive are education or education institution from the primary school, primary education, even to the tertiary level? How well do we ensure that teachers are trained to handle the needs of persons with disability? How inclusive are private schools? How inclusive are public schools from all levels of education? Basically, that's what we did, and that we did across the 36 Nigerian states through interviews, key information, focus group discussion, validation, that we did in partnership with the National Commission for Persons with Disability. And earlier in the year, sometimes I think about 4 months ago, that was July, we launched the State of Disability Inclusion report, which is first of its kind to evaluate the level of implementation of the Nigerian Disability Act in Nigeria.
Thank you. So the State of Disability Inclusion report has all of these things that you stated there.
Yes.
From the report, which of this sector do you think is making progress, and which one do you think requires urgent attention?
All right. I will be speaking from, I'm a development expert, and I'll be speaking from that angle. In development, we usually say that the highest level of change happens with the government. And if whatever we are doing, I know that many of us are excited with what we are seeing here today around the program, the content that is going on. But whatever we do as an organization, even if World Bank come into Nigeria, no World Bank projects can create the large-scale change. The change begins with the government. And what now drives the look and actions of government is policy. And that is why we usually say that the highest level of change begins with the government. And they are the highest player in terms of change. So one of the improvements that we have had so far, there was, I think, sometimes in 2011, Lagos State was the first state in Nigeria to pass a disability law. And over the years, and after the 2019 passage of the Act, we've recorded some level of change. As I speak to you today, even within this year, we've also have improvements in terms of states in Nigeria who has passed their own domesticated law. So far, we have 25 Nigerian states that has passed their own disability law in their state, and we have about 15 of them have their own state disability agency or commission. For instance, in Lagos, we have what we call ASODA, which is the Lagos State Lagos State Office for Disability Affairs. So in other states, in Oyo, in Ondo, in Abia, we have them like that. That is one of the improvements that we have seen so far. The other record sources that we can even boast of is also in the area of employment. For instance, Project Enable Africa since 2021, we have been engaging various corporate organizations to, one, help improve their disability inclusion compliance, to ensure that they create an environment, a working environment that meets the needs of potential employees who are persons with disability, and that we are actively doing. There are some level of success, and we have trained over 1,000 persons with disability and also placed them in jobs across board.
Thank you. Let me just say this. I will be giving two people the opportunity to ask a question, just two. But before that, let me ask you this question. What pattern or trend did this report reveal on how persons with disability experience education, employment, health, and all of that?
Okay. So I must confess that one of the outcomes of the State of Disability Inclusion by Project Enable Africa is that largely persons with disability are still being marginalized. Social inclusion, discrimination still persists. 5% of persons with disability who are supposed to be employed across board are still the level of implementation across board, both for all the 5 thematic areas. There are relatively little or no social protection programs targeted at persons with disability, targeted at the needs of persons with disability across board. Even in terms of education, we are still struggling to ensure that persons with disabilities need are spotlighted, and their academic needs are also met. Even in terms of health sector, there are many gaps that still exist that we need to cover as a nation, and no nation can survive without persons with disability, especially in a developing country like Nigeria, even economic-wise. I know that in various conversations that we've had today, we've mentioned that we have at least 30 to 35 million persons with disability in Nigeria. That is like combined 15 nations in Europe put together. That is like over 10 nations in Africa put to that. And if the needs of these persons are not met, Nigeria will still be seen as the world capital, or as the poverty capital in the world.
Yeah, I know that many people want to read more about the State of Disability Inclusion Report, because what we're saying here cannot capture everything that the State of Disability Inclusion Report says. How can people access this thing? If you're with your phone, please bring out your phone to quickly get how you can access this State of Disability Inclusion Report, because what we're saying and what we are hearing here today, this report is something you want to read to have an in-depth knowledge about what this report says about the data of persons with disability in Nigeria. How can they access this?
All right. So one of the things, or one of our key findings, is also that persons with disability are highly not informed about their rights. Many persons with disability don't have the information, don't have the data in order to advocate for their rights. And sorry, Janet, I might little way divert. One of the things that we did during this year as Project Enable Africa is also to launch a platform that promotes inclusive data that persons with disability can use to advocate for their right. They can use as active citizens to ensure that their rights are being met. We call it Access 360. So it is a digital platform that disaggregates disability data across the 36 Nigerian states. On it, all of the things that I have mentioned, you will also see it there. Like how many states in Nigeria across board we have it's a very inclusive platform. So you can go with me to the website www.access360.africa. www.access360.africa. So you will see every information, data available on disability issues. Inclusive schools around you will see it there. Inclusive hospitals around you will see it there. The population of persons with disability in Nigeria, how many female, how many male, how many are employed, how many are unemployed, you will see it there. Which states has a domesticated disability law in their state, you will see it there. In fact, you even have access to download that disability law so that you can have it, and you can even use it as an advocacy tool to when politicians are coming for you, elections are coming. I know we are already creating WhatsApp group across board, and they just want our vote, and you cannot even say that this is what we want. So when you go to access360 www.access360.africa, you will see it there. But once you come into access360.africa, the first request you will see is to download the SDR report. SDR is S stands for state, D disability, I inclusion, R report. So it will request for your email. Just type in your email and press download. Once you press download, it will be sent into your email. You will have it directly. So that is one. If you maybe think that process is also long, just go to www.access360.africa/SDIR. Automatically it will take you there. We just type your email, press download, you will have it.
So I'm giving chance to two people to ask question. If you want to ask question, let me see you by raise of hand if there is any question. But okay, while we're looking out for that, please quickly let me ask, based on the findings, what actions should each stakeholder take immediately based on these findings?
Okay, so for the actions that every stakeholder should take, one, I will take it from 4 stakeholders. The first stakeholders are persons with disability, right? Because we are the primary recipients of whatever comes out of what we are doing. Now, for persons with disability, the first thing is that you have to equip yourself with the right information. You have to equip yourself with the right data, and use data to now drive inclusive governance that ensure that whatever the government is planning, whatever any ministry is planning, they ensure that the rights of persons with disability are mainstreamed. That will be the first main stakeholders. The second main stakeholders are governments, both at the federal level and at the state level. At the federal level, we have two levels of government. At the federal level, we have the executive and also the legislators, maybe judiciary, three. Now, for the executive arm of government, is out of all of these, they are the executive. They are supposed to lead the implementation of all of these things. It is a call, a wake-up call to the federal government to ensure that every bit, we are talking about 5% allotment of employment for persons with disability. Let the federal government ensure that it starts with them. For every employment notification that is going out, how many of it are being allotted for persons with disability? Recently, we have various government agencies, we are even in the military, in the paramilitary, in various ministries. How many of it are allotted for persons with disability? But however, the government will not do anything until persons with disability hold them accountable. And how can you hold them accountable? You hold them accountable by what the law still states, which is there, that you can use as a tool. The other part of the government is the legislative arm of the government. There's no perfect law anywhere in the world. There are always lacunas, as the learned fellows will say. What are we supposed to now hold the legislative arm of government? Every one of us here have federal members at the Federal House of Representatives who are representing our federal constituency. Now we need to push for them. I think in the news last week, there is ongoing talk about amendments of the current constitution. If there is any area that we persons with disability are also not satisfied with, are there gaps that we have in the current law that guides the rights of persons with disability? This is a period for us to now communicate to our representatives at the legislative arm of government to ensure that we hold them accountable. The other end of it is for the judiciary. I know that for women with disability that faces some form of rape or gender-based violence cases, it is always ending up at the desk of the judiciary. How can we also ensure that we have speed hearing, we have justice for the rights of persons with disability? That's two stakeholders. The other stakeholders are for corporate organization, business owners. Business owners, this is also a wake-up call. I know earlier, one of the reasons why we have many employer partners from our end, for you who are seated here earlier, we had the hospitality sector. It is for us to also gain commitment from these people. Ask for it's our right to ask for it, to ensure that persons, corporate organizations, business owners are also ensuring that they are employing persons with disability. Not only employing persons with disability, also ensuring that they are vendors. There are lots of percentage to those who they source raw materials for. Many of us here too are business owners as persons with disability. How many are we also being considered for procurement issues, for when they want to get their raw materials, when they want to do logistics and the likes? That's for the private sector. The other end is also for CSOs. CSOs can be OPDs. Now, for the OPDs, Organization of Persons with Disability, it is time for us to unite together and make up one voice. I remember when I was saying unionism, there's a saying that when the people speak with one voice, even the gods will bend their rules. It is time for us as OPDs to come together and speak with one voice to advocate for our rights. It is not the time for us to fight one another. It is not for the time for us to begin to fight for positions, but to add one voice together and raise the voice that even the government, wherever they are, they can hear us and know that these people are serious with business. They know what they want and they are united to get it, whatever it might cost them.
Thank you so much.
The last set of persons.
Okay, please go ahead.
5. Okay. The last set of persons are development partners like Project Enable Africa. For us, we have committed to this journey and will continue to do more. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I just Based on what you just said now, and I remember that when this law was passed, the Disability Act law was passed, it encouraged all states also to pass it, and we have so many states that are yet to do it. What policy change do you think Nigeria should prioritize based on these findings?
All right. I must tell you for facts, we are also in a way, as Project Enable Africa, we have highlighted some of these states that are yet to, one, have a law guiding the rights of persons with disability, or for those states that even have a law but don't have an agency, we have mapped them out. We are also engaging various stakeholders, like the Disability Commission, the National Disability Commission of Persons with Disability, the Governors Forum, the Nigerian Governors Forum. We are also currently engaging them to ensure, and we are also engaging those states, both across the legislative arm and also the executive arm, to ensure that they see a need to ensure that we have a community, we have a state, we have a nation that promotes both the social and economic inclusion of persons with disability. And it should be a wake-up call to all states that are yet to pass their own disability law. Like my own state, Ogun State, they are yet to. I'm sorry to say this here. I'm from Ogun State. We don't have it, but we are also in a talk. It's also a wake-up call for these states to ensure that they pass their own disability law and also
So
a commission.
I know that there are some of the states that are yet to pass this law. Some have actually passed this law, but this law is yet to be gazetted, is yet to be implemented. For these states, what do you think should be done on how do we follow up with the states that has passed this law but are not implementing it properly?
Okay. There are many states states to that, but I will just address it because of our time on that. For states who have their own disability law but are not gazetted by the law, who is empowered to gazette a law? Because one, this is the process. In the floor of the house, the legislative arm, they will debate, they will pass the law. The governor will assent his signature. Once the governor assents his signature, it becomes a law. However, the Ministry of Justice in the state is meant to gazette it. That is when it becomes a copyright. That is when it becomes an intellectual property that can be included as part of the law in the state. So it is the Ministry of Justice. So for persons with disability, OPDs, development partners, now we have to unite and ask for the Ministry of Justice in those states that are yet to gazette their law to ensure we put pressure on them to ensure that they gazette it.
Okay, I hope that we are successful on that. The door and the opportunity to ask question is still open before it's closed. Finally, let me ask. I'm sure that some people might be wondering, like, okay, you got this report from the all 36 states in Nigeria. How did you get your data? How did you get your findings? How are you sure? How did you get these numbers?
All right. Thank you so much. For the collation of data, we started with what we call DIMP, sometimes in October of 2024. And the DIMP simply means Disability Inclusion Metric Project, where we trained young persons with disability across the 20 local governments in Lagos State. Yes, right? We have 20 local governments and 36. Yes, 37 SCDAs in Lagos. So we train across 20 states on data collection. So we use them as a form to get data. We also then, across the Nigerian 36 states, we send out interviews. We organize interviews with leaders of persons with disability, JONAPID, president, state chapter chairman, state disability commissions, disability cluster heads, NAB, the Deaf Association of Nigeria, the Abilism Association of Nigeria, across all of these 36 states. We asked them necessary questions that have been drafted, and at the end of it, we also did some form of focus group discussion across the 6 geopolitical zones: the South-South, the Southeast, the Southwest, the Northwest, the Northeast, and the North Central, where we bring in leaders across all disability leaders, leaders with disability across this geopolitical zone together to discuss the state of disability inclusion across the regions. And at the end of it, we also have a validation meeting with all of these relevant stakeholders to say that all of the findings that we have find out, and this is what people said in the local communities, this is what leaders said across board. Is it reflecting the reality that is on ground, which we also get their buy-in and validation? We also send out these reports to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction in the Federal Capital Territory, and also the Commission of Persons with Disability, National Commission of Persons with Disability, for their validation. And we got their validation on it, and which clearly gives credibility to our report to say that truly the findings of what we met are true and nothing but the truth.
Okay, thank you so much. That is to tell you that when you get on this page and whatever you read there is not something that was just collated or written inside a room. It's a lot of work went into it. Persons with disability, organizations of persons with disability were also.
In fact, I would say that the State of Disability Inclusion Report is the voice of persons with disability in the nation.
Please, a round of applause for that. Thank you so much. Thank you. As we bring this to a close, please, once again, tell us how to get this thing downloaded. If you missed it at the first time, please, you want to get it down the second time, how to download the State of Disability Inclusion Report, because I will encourage everyone here, please get a copy of the State of Disability Inclusion Report. It's also on this platform as well. That is where you can also share your story as a person with disability. If you're as a person with disability on that Access 360 platform, you can share your story. If you're good at story writing, you want to share your experience, you can post it there, which will get more viewers and more people to read your story. And also, you can reach out. You can also reach out to want to give. Oh, let's say there's a particular school. They said, oh, this particular school is inclusive, and to report, and you got to that school and you realize that this school is not inclusive, you may want to report it. There is an option for you to report schools, option for you to report institutions whose structures, whose policies are not inclusive, so that, together we can make this happen. Thank you so much, Mr. Michael. Thank you for coming. Please, a round of applause for Mr. Michael again. This is where we'll draw a close to this session. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you all have gotten and you have downloaded a copy of the State of Disability Report. Please read it and enjoy it. If you have any question, you can reach out on this platform to ask the question. Again, it's www.access360.org, right? .africa. www.access360.africa. Again, www.access360.africa. It's an inclusive platform that you can report, that you can read, and you can download the State of Disability Inclusion Report from. Thank you so much. Thank you, and have a wonderful. Enjoy the rest of the event. Thank you. So let me make a quick announcement. Can we? We're going to ask some of protocol guys to come in now that will assist us to switch back to the main stage. Thank you so much.